honor to be able to be here again this year, and it's my pleasure to be able to present to you the ASHRAE Society theme for 2019-20. It's built around the experiences of the presidents at that time. Anyway, here we go. So growing up, my father owned a logging company, and to keep the company operating, we moved around many times, even to remote islands off the west coast of British Columbia, Canada. My early memories were of large equipment and the rugged men that operated and maintained that equipment. And after the logging business shut down, we continued to move around while my father found various ways to make a living. But at 14, my father left our family, left my mother, my younger sister, and myself on welfare. And at that time, I became the man of the house and the chief operating officer of our substandard housing. There wasn't money for plumbers or electricians, so I learned how to keep those systems functioning for our house. Now, at the age of 15, our high school arranged a tour of the university, and so that we could get a sense of our future educational opportunities and career opportunities. And at the university, the tour went through the heating plant, the power plant at the university. And so I asked the tour guide, who's responsible for all this equipment? And the response was mechanical engineers. When we returned to the high school, we were asked to write a little paper on our careers that we might want to pursue when we were finished high school. And I wrote on mechanical engineering. It was then that I caught the bug. Now, my first post-high school education, though, was mechanical engineering technology production. I was destined to be in a factory somewhere designing the equipment that would create products, widgets, and things like that. But as it turned out, my first permanent job was with the University of Alberta in Canada as a mechanical systems designer. And when I got my first assignment, I went to the more senior people and said, could you help me with this assignment to design a ventilation system? And they pointed me to the 4 volumes of the handbook at that time, and these are the exact 4 volumes, and said everything you need to know is in those 4 volumes of the ASHRAE handbook. I was on my ASHRAE journey. Now at 27, I got married, and I immediately quit my full-time job and enrolled in university, mechanical engineering. So during that 4 years of engineering, I had the opportunity to continue mechanical systems design, so I didn't really leave the industry. And so, looking back, I can see the thread that was a 14-year-old maintaining substandard housing, a junior high schooler learning about mechanical engineering, and then this young technologist discovering the value of the ASHRAE Society. I was also learning and becoming passionate that making or building things, like buildings, is not enough. We must ensure operational performance for the people that live, work, and interact in these buildings. People must succeed within the buildings that we create. It makes sense to pause. It makes sense to pause and ask why should we care? Why should the ASHRAE members care about operational performance? Well, there are 4 reasons. First of all, we own the buildings that we design, construct, or operate. That's my building. This is my building at the university, and I'm very proud of it. And it aligns with the ASHRAE mission of advancing human well-being. And anybody that knows ASHRAE, I guess, would think that the H and the R in ASHRAE is heating and refrigerating. And I truly believe it's the people, the human resource, which has always been at the center of ASHRAE. So we really are about people, having them succeed. As a building owner and operator through my career, I can tell you that the building operators need your help. And finally, it's good for the planet by ensuring that we reduce the impact to the environment from building operations. So let's look at some of the examples of what's going on today. Now these are Canadian examples because it was readily available to me. For example, the Alice Turner Branch Library in Saskatchewan, Canada is using 58% more energy than the design intent. And then the Roblin Center in Manitoba, Canada is using 69% more energy than the intent. And finally, a building in British Columbia, Canada is using 203% more energy than the engineers and the owners intended. So why are these great designs not always delivering great operations? Well, there's reasons behind this, I believe. First of all, designers are not always focused on operability during the design process. And designers need to find ways to transfer their great designs into great operations. Great designs warrant great operations. There's no question on that. Second, technology. We design technology into the built environment to improve operations, but it doesn't always turn out that way. Now, technology is not evil. And for example, at Carleton University, where I worked, we opened in 2010 a state-of-the-art engineering building. It had power over Ethernet, building automation system, connection. We had sub-metering of plug loads at every floor level, lighting loads at every floor level. Every large piece of electrical equipment was sub-metered. But we found that data just overwhelmed our building operators. And so we had to find ways to simplify the information as it went to the operators. And fundamentally, operators are lagging behind. Operators are being overwhelmed generally with the amount of data that's coming out of today's building operation systems, and they're not properly trained. At building turnover, operators are not properly oriented to the systems and how to operate them that they're being given. Now, there's been a number of studies on why great designs are not delivering great operations. And I've had a look at a number of these studies, and one is, do our green buildings perform as intended? There's a United Kingdom-based 1996-2001 PRO project and a 2006 to 2010 low carbon buildings performance studies that identified a number of key causes to why these buildings are not operating properly. First, buildings were designed with systems that exceeded the capacity of the building managers to operate them. The study found a direct correlation between the operations of buildings and the abilities of the management. Systems were complex and are innovative and took several years to refine and understand. And finally, insufficient commissioning. The study found a direct correlation between building performance and the level of commissioning that was performed on the buildings. Now, we're not the only organization that has concerns about building operations. In 2017, the International Facilities Management Organization did a study on raising the bar from operational excellence to strategic impact in facilities management. And they concluded in this study that facilities management must adopt technology more quickly and far more deeply, must move beyond technology to monitor space utilization and energy, to focus on using technology, data, and analytics to underpin and enhance the workplace experience. They also said they believe that mastering the digital age means applying new forms of technology to both enhance the management of the facilities and to create new kinds of work experiences. And this may be the most important challenge facing facilities management professionals today. So let's talk about some solutions to ensure that people succeed in the buildings that we create. First, we need to include building operations team representatives all the way through design, not solely at the end of design. Again, at Carleton University, we learned our lesson and established a comprehensive review of the building automation design, construction, and turnover. so that our operators had a fighting chance to operate the buildings effectively. The design should reflect the capabilities of the people who will operate the building. And if we do this, the result will that the operators won't be saying, how do I make this work, when they receive the built environment. We need to establish an effective turnover and orientation program. And we need to really understand what life is like after the building is handed over. And we also need to design for the building occupant operators, the people in the spaces in the buildings. We need to design with them in mind. All designs should be evaluated on their impact on the indoor environmental quality. And finally, we need to remember that humans are the best centers of comfort. Then we must learn about analytical and fault detection software to enhance the operation of buildings. A study was conducted in Canada by the National Research Council and determined that with today's building automation systems, we have lots of data, we just need to find out how to use it effectively. We need to work with building owner and operator organizations to develop strategies to prepare the operators to effectively operate the buildings. This could be through training, effective use of building automation systems, and analytical and other software tools. Finally, in today's technology world, we should consider adding the concept of a digital twin to help us understand the base building operations for the building that was been designed. So in the United Kingdom, the Building Services Research Information Association operates a program called Soft Landings. This program was developed to improve the operational performance of buildings and meet the client's expectations. Programs like this may be part of the answer for our problem of the turnover program. So, let's discuss what actions we can take to ensure people succeed in the buildings that we create. So what's ASHRAE doing? Well, in the last year, we formed a multidisciplinary task group within the society on effective building operations. This task group will coordinate the activities of multiple groups within ASHRAE and outside stakeholders in the area of training and tools to support the operation of buildings and enhance the indoor environment while using energy effectively. Responsibility will include suggestions for research as well as development of technical programs and special publications on effective building operation. In addition, ASHRAE is relocating its headquarters, and it's been my pleasure to be able to serve on the building ad hoc committee that's overseeing this relocation and renovation of the building. And we plan to learn from this real-world experience as a building owner, looking at upgrades and the upgrades to a budget and balancing the indoor environmental quality with energy efficiency. That's our building. And we also need to understand what the building operator brings to the program. Going forward, the design, the construction, even the concept at the very beginning, and the transition to operations will be fully documented and will serve as a learning process for our members and others. The project is also being documented by the Building Owners and Managers Association, a research committee, as a case study for repositioning of existing buildings. So what are we asking our ASHRAE members to do? First, we can learn, get engaged, and act differently. So, in the area of learning, we're asking our members to get a copy of the new ASHRAE guideline, Designing for Effective Building Operations, which is under development today and will be available in June 2020. We're also asking our members to review the Center for the Built Environment to understand the perspective of building occupants, what they see and feel in the buildings that they occupy. In the area of engagement, we're asking our members to engage with building operators at the ASHRAE chapter and society level to improve our understanding of their problems in operating buildings. We need to develop education and training programs to reduce the gap between design, construction, and operations. We need to listen to what these building operators are saying, and we want to have at least one meeting a year in each chapter to deal with operational issues. And the concept may be that the chapter has a program on buildings that are 2 years after they've been turned over to understand the operational challenges in those buildings. Finally, we want our members to act differently. We want them to follow the principles in the design guideline for effective building operations. And we want them to add computer-assisted building operations enhancements into the design programs. And we need to transfer the as-designed operational concepts into the operational strategies. And we need them to learn and apply well-building fundamental principles. So, at 14, I was thrust into the role of operating a substandard building, a position I was not prepared or qualified for. We can do better. We will do better for those who operate our buildings. Remember, people must succeed within the buildings that we create. So let's ensure we take the steps to achieve effective operational performance and enhance the operator experience. It's good for the building. It's good for the people who live and work within these buildings. It's good for the environment, and it's good for us. Thank you.